Okay, so Krish. Or missing the H. Ah. Oh, Chris missing the H. We got there. With his Akroma and Sakashima. It's essentially an Akroma and an Akroma deck. And then he has a little sum up here. A take on an Azorius deck that doesn't use alternate win cons. It wins by outvaluing opponents, copying high-value creatures like Consecrated Sphinx or Elish Norn Grand Cinnabite. If that fails, we can make 2 copies of Akroma and then swing in with 2 11/11 flyers with tons of keywords. Yeah, that'll definitely win a game. Just smack them once with both your commanders and for commander and you win. So that definitely is a win con. So let's look at the commanders here. We've got Akroma, who is 5 and 2 white for a 6/6 flying, first strike, vigilance, trample. At the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, partner. Whew. Yeah, they get a lot of +1/+1s if they have static abilities. And then Sakashima, 3 and a blue for a 3/1. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature, except it has the name Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, and isn't a legendary. Actually, it just has the name 1,000 Faces, and then the legend rule doesn't apply. So you can copy your Akroma and have a second Akroma in play, or any other legendary and have another one in play, as long as you control it. Super strong. So, let's see what we're working with. The Eternal Wanderer, we got 2 Planeswalkers. Eternal Wanderer, 4 and 2 white for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. No more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. It's super good. +1, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. That is so good. +1 blink is nutty good. 0, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. That's super good too. -4, for each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control not chosen this way. She's so good. I don't know why my camera's being bad, so we're just going to drop it for the time being. And then we'll just move those up a bit. That works. Okay. Eternal Wanderer is nutty. Such a good commander, or such a good planeswalker. Venser the Sojourner, 3 a white and a blue. For a 3 loyalty planeswalker, exile target permanent you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So we're trying to, these 2 things have a blink on them, which I'm guessing is to reset Sakashima if you want to. So you can just blink it and then it re-enters as Sakashima, and then you get to pick something else if you want to reset it. Plus, they're just really good planeswalkers on top of it. -1, creatures are unblockable this turn. That works really good in this deck. -8, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, exile target permanent. Venser's very good. Even to this day. To this day, Venser's good. Very good card. Astral Dragon, what is this? 6 and 2 blue. Oh my goodness, for a 4/4 flying. When Astral Dragon enters the battlefield, create 2 tokens that are copies of target non-creature permanent, except they're 3/3 dragons in addition to their other types and have flying. Oh, that is so cool. I want to save that. Super cool card. So he's got a bit of an ETB sub-theme here. So I like it. He's got a little bit of a blue-white blink deck going on. Like a blink sub-theme here, which I really like. Bastion Protector, 2 and a white for a 3/3 that gives your commanders +2/+2 and indestructible. We run 2 of them. Indestructible is a keyword. It's very useful. This is a very good card in here. Battle Angels of Tyre, 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 flying myriad. When Battle Angels of Tyre deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. If that player has more cards in hand than each other player, then you create a treasure token. If that player controls more lands than each other player, then you gain 3 life. If that player has more life than each other player. This one's really solid. Actually, if you don't run it, I came across another card. The Linvala would be actually very good in here. Yeah, you're not running it. Let me look her up real quick, just so we can have her queued up to talk about. Okay. Let's go. What do we got next? Clever Impersonator. 2 and 2 blue, 0/0 comes into play. It's a copy of another permanent. Having additional clones is always useful in this deck. Having redundancy is good. And Clever Impersonator is just good. It gets to copy the best thing in play. Consecrated Sphinx. This is one of the win conditions he brought up. If we can't win with the two commanders, we just try to outvalue him with Consecrated Sphinx. Or vice versa. If we can't win with the Consecrated Sphinx, we try to win with the commanders. Consecrated Sphinx, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/6 flying. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. Insane card. Consecrated Sphinx is, yeah, absolutely busted card. It's a super good card. I feel like it needs... It's been reprinted through the roof, but I feel like it just needs a copy that'll be under $10 that people can pick up. Cryptoplasm, 1 and 2 blue for a 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have Cryptoplasm become a copy of another target creature. If you do, Cryptoplasm gains this ability. I'm not the biggest fan of Cryptoplasm. I've ran it in a few decks, and it's underperformed for me like every time. So maybe take out Cryptoplasm for the card I want to bring up, but maybe not. Who knows? Dragonlord Ojutai. Which one is this? 3 a blue and a white for a 5/4 flying. Has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Oh yeah, I just put this in one of my videos. Whenever Dragonlord Ojutai deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. It's really good. You get to fix your draws. Big dragon with hexproof. Why not? Elish Norn was another one of his win conditions he brought up. 5 and 2 white for a 4/7 vigilance. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. This card's very good. I didn't realize it was sitting at $12. I think you can get it for even cheaper than that at this point. Let me check here. Elish Norn. $13. Yeah, a little bit more expensive than I thought. Huh. Weird. Okay, let's go back to the deck here. Elish Norn, great card though. And then we got Ethereal Valkyrie. 4 a white and a blue for a 4/4 flying. When Ethereal Valkyrie enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. It becomes foretold. Its foretell cost is its mana cost reduced by 2. Ooh. I really like this card. I actually think this card's sick. Ethereal Valkyrie is solid. Fairy Artisans. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 flying. When a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types, then exile all other tokens created with Fairy Artisan. Huh. That seems pretty good. Yeah, Fairy Artisan seems great, actually. Damn. Fairy Mastermind. 1 in the blue for a 2/1. This is the guy that won the Pro Tour. Yuta Takahashi. Yuta Takahashi. Very cool. It's awesome that he got his own card. 1 in the blue for a 2/1 Flying Flash. When an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. 3 in the blue, each player draws a card. Yeah, this is fair. It's a good card. Glasspool Mimic is also very good for how expensive it is. 2 in a blue for a 0/0. It's just a clone that on the back side is a land, which is very good. If you couldn't guess that already. Grand Abolisher. 2 white for a 2/2. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifact, creatures, or enchantments. Grand Abolisher is so good. This card is so insane. If you can't afford one, Defense Grid's pretty good. I really like Defense Grid. Grand Arbiter Augustine. 2 a white and a blue for a 2/3. White spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Blue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast. He's so annoying. He's only $2. That's crazy. Didn't see that coming. Keeper of the Cord's great. 2 and a white for a 3/4. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, make a 1/1. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if they have more lands than you get to search for planes and put it into play tapped. Keeper of the Cord's great. It's a fantastic card. Oh. What? Knight of the White Orchid had a secret lair thing? This is one of my favorite cards. This is one of my favorite cards of all time. I did not know they had a secret lair. How cool is that? That's sweet. Okay. Love it. Knight of the White Orchid. 2 white for a 2/2 first strike. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a plains and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. It does not come into play tapped, and it's not a basic plains. So, Knight of the White Orchid's great. It's a very, very good card. One of my favorites. go back here. Lorana the Third Path is fantastic. 2 and a white for a 2/1 vigilance. When Lorana the Third Path enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Tap it. You and target opponent each draw a card. This card's great. Lorana is like solid as hell. Mirror Hall Mimic. 3 and a blue for a... Yeah, it's just a clone with Disturb. That's fair enough. Phantasmal Image. A 2-drop clone. Phyrexian Metamorph. A clone that can copy artifacts. Pirated Copy. 4 and a blue for a 0/0. Enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a pirate in addition to its other types, and it has, when this creature or another creature with the same name deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. That's pretty cool. So you're just running all these copiers to copy, like, your Clever Impersonators and your Battle Angels and your non-legendary stuff that's going to win you games, which is cool. Or some of your ETB stuff just to get some value. Where were we at? Sakashima the Imposter seems fantastic. 2 and 2 blue for a 3/1. You may have Sakashima the Imposter enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature, except its name is Sakashima the Imposter, and it has 2 and 2 blue to return it back to its hand, to its owner's hand. Sakashima's great. The OG Sakashima is very, very good. Sigarda's Vanguard. This is a really cool card. 4 and a white for a 3/3 flash flying. When Sigarda's Vanguard enters the battlefield or attacks, choose any number of creatures with different powers. Those creatures gain double strike until end of turn. Yeah, this interacts really good with the Akroma, and it'll win you games. Sigarda's Vanguard will definitely win you some games. Solemn, of course. Spark Double, of course, just a clone that's not legendary. Seems great. Emria's Call, one of my favorite cards. It's essentially just a plains, but on the back it's 4 and 3 white for a sorcery. Create 2 4/4 white Angel Warrior creature tokens with flying. Non-angel creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Pretty cool. Protects all your stuff in play. It's weird that it says non-angel creatures, and like we're probably gonna have an Akroma that's also a socket. So we're gonna have like 2 Akromas in play, and then two angels from the Emria's Call, and then give our non-angels flying. Which is weird, but I run into the very same feeling in every deck I run Emria's Call in, where I'm like, it's weird that it doesn't give your angels indestructible, and it just feels a little awkward to play in some decks. Like this one, it feels a little awkward, but again, it's just a land that has this on the back, so you kind of have to play it. Farewell, great board wipe. Fractured Identity, 3 a white and a blue for a sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player, other than its controller, creates a token that's a copy of it. Oh my goodness. I've never seen this card. This card's nutty. I run into the very same feeling in every deck. That's really good. Fractured Identity is actually sick. Quasi-Duplicate. 1 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, and it has Jumpstart. Seems good. Just another copier. Rite of Replication, so good. This needs to see more play. Seagate Restoration. Rite of Replication is just a clone, but you can kick it for 5 to make 5 copies of a creature. So, yeah. Seagate Restoration, another island that on the back you can pay 4 and 3 blue. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Very good. These lands are super, super solid. Vanquish the Horde, really good board wipe. And Windfall, a solid card draw spell. Moving on to Instants. Akroma's Will, super good game ender. 3 and a white for an instant. And you're running Akroma, so you have to run this. Choose one. If you control your commander, you can cast this spell. As you cast this spell, you may choose both. Creatures you control gain Flying, Vigilance, and Double Strike until end of turn. Creatures you control gain Lifelink, Indestructible, and Protection from all colors until end of turn. Very, very good. So I have a question with this. Does Akroma give you a 1/1 for each different protection your creature has, or just for the word protection being on the creature in general? Because if it's for each protection, Akroma's Will like wins you a game, because it'll get protection from each color, and that's 5 +1/+1s right there, plus the 1/1s from each other keyword it's giving. That seems really good. It's giving keywords. Counterspell, very good. Enlightened Tutor, solid tutor. What is this? Exercise the Imperfect. 1 and 2 white for an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller incubates X, where X is its mana value. Ooh, I like this. I'm going to save this one as well. I have to, like... I don't know how I'm supposed to get there with that. There we go. Boop. That's a really good one. That might go in a future video. Mana Drain, of course. Just a really good counterspell. Mystic Tutor. Narset's Reversal, another counterspell. Removal. Sea Double, 2 and 2 blue for an instant. This spell can't be copied. Choose one. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, you may choose both. Copy target spell. Create a token that's a copy of target creature. Ooh, this is really good. Sea Double's very good. 8 or more cards? That's not a big hurdle in EDH. Yeah, Sea Double's great. I'm going to save that one as well, I think. Sublime Epiphany, some great removal and card draw. Swan Song, good removal. Swords to Plowshare, good removal. Teferi's Protection, 2 and a white, and it makes you phase out, and all your permanents phase out, and you can't take damage, you can't be targeted, and then you have to exile it. Teferi's Protection is, of course, a great card. Let's move on to artifacts. We've got Mana Ramp, Mana Ramp, Mana Ramp. Mana Ramp that becomes a copy of something? Yeah, a Mana Ramp that enters as a copy of a creature, so that's super good in here. Mana Ramp, Mirage Mirror, which can copy creatures, super good. Sensei's Divining Top can fix your draws, and it's just a good card. This card just kind of goes in anything. Good Mana Ramp. Swiftfoot Boots, protect your commander. Talisman, good Mana Ramp. Thought Vessel, good Mana Ramp. Ghostly Prison, 2 and a white. This is really cool, Ghostly Prison. Holy shit. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Creatures can attack you unless they pay 2 for each creature that is attacking you. This is super good. Ghostly Prison is one of my favorite cards of all time. Probably in my top 5 like favorite Magic cards. And I think it goes in most decks. I think Ghostly Prison and Crawl Space go in pretty much most decks that they can go in. Just because not being swung at is going to be good in a game of Magic. I mean, if you're in like CEDH or if you're in like a strictly trying to win scenario, sure, maybe not. But if you're just playing like EDH with your friends, trying to win, but not like super CEDH decks, I think cards like this are really good. Land Tax, of course, just some Mana Ramp for white. Mr. Grimora, really good. Smothering Tithe, super good. You got really good card draw and Mana Ramp with those 2 cards. Unstable Harmonies, what is this? Oh, it's a Rhystic Study. This is super cool. Rhystic Study is just some of the best card draw you can get. That's super cool. Was that it? I think that was it. Okay, cool. So, a lot of copiers. Like, that was an insane amount of cards that copy. Which, I mean, sure, that seems really good. So there's a couple cards I wanted to bring up. Let me look here. So Linvala was one of them I want to bring up. I think this is a really good target for some of your Blink stuff and some of your clones. It has flying, so that's another static ability for your Akroma. That's something, I guess. 4 and 2 white for a 5/5 flying. She is legendary, so keep that in mind. When she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than you, you gain 5 life. And when she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more creatures than you, you put a 3/3 angel with flying into play. So it's like a Knight of the White Orchid pseudo-type ability, but with life gain and creature creation, and she's a 5/5 flying. So blinking her is incredibly strong. She makes your life go way ahead of the opponent's. She gives you bodies on the board with flying, and if you're able to keep blinking her, she seems really good. So if you want to go for more of a blink theme, where you're like trying to copy these creatures, like copy the Elish Norns and stuff of your deck, and then you have like a sub-theme where you're trying to blink cards like, let me get back to your deck here, where you're trying to blink cards like Astral Dragon, or like Battle Angels of Tyr, or, let's see here, or like Aetheral Valkyrie, just trying to blink stuff like that and get their triggers over and over and over again. Astral Dragon especially, because you can make copies of other stuff with ETBs. I think that's a really powerful pseudo-strategy, or like sub-strategy to have in this deck is blink. And I think Linvala would be a really good blink target to have, actually. What was the other card I was thinking of? Let me see really quick. I'm going to check my folder. Thought I saved it, but I may not have. Oh, I did. Okay. Where's it at? Where's that? This is right around that card. Okay, I didn't. I saved 3 copies of Linvala. That sounds about right. Oh, okay, here's some stuff. I think Ephemerate would be useful in your deck. Just to have a way to, like, protect some of your stuff for one. Because your commanders are so high-costed. Sakashima, not so much, but Akroma is so high-costed that it'd be nice to have a few ways to protect her that also interact with your ETB that you're doing, or that we might be doing. So it'd be cool to run like an Ephemerate or something, or like a couple cards that are like Ephemerate. where it's just a cheap instant speed thing that can blink something to protect it, so you're able to protect Akromas and stuff with it. But they also double as ways to just quickly blink some of your ETBs and get a lot of value. Seems really good. Ephemery is great. It's a very, very good card. Like Cloud Shift, I think, is another one. Yeah, Cloud Shift's another great one. Just a 1-drop that blinks. Stuff like that seems good in here. Protects your high mana cost commanders and your high value commanders while also interacting with stuff like Linvala and Knight of the White Orchid and Angels of Tyr and stuff like that. So that seems really good, actually. Other than that, though, it seems really good. It seems tight. Like, that's like the first word that came to my mind was like, this seems like a tightly made deck. Like, it fires off how it's supposed to fire off most games. You have plenty of card draw, so you're going to be drawing into what you're going to want to be drawing into most games. You have a ton of very solid card draw. It's not even that you run a lot of it, which you do. What you do run is incredibly good, like Mystic Remora and Rhystic Study, Sublime Epiphany, just incredibly good card draw spells, Consecrated Sphinx. So you're going to be tearing through the deck fairly quickly. And then tons of doublers and tons of clones and tons of ETBs and tons of way to double stuff and get tons of value on board, which does seem like a very good way to win. If that doesn't work, like she said, or like they said, you can play Akroma and Sakashima and just swing in with 2 11/11s. I do think having a sub theme of like blinking some of your stuff is really good in here, especially with Astral Dragon. You may want to consider like a Conjurer's Closet. That actually seems really good. Or a portal, maybe like a portal circle or whatever it's called. What's that card called where it blinks something? Teleportation Circle. 3 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you get to blink one of your things. That seems really good in here. Just blink all your stuff that could win you a game with its ETB. Like that Drake and stuff seems really good. Conjurer's Closet seems great. Same thing, you just get to blink at the end of your turn. Super solid. Those effects seem kind of useful in here. Let me really think here for a second before I hop off. I want to give you a fair couple of suggestions here. So I wasn't feeling Cryptoplasm. So real quick, some of the cards I wasn't feeling. Cryptoplasm, I'm not a huge fan of. Not really feeling Ethereal Valkyrie. She's very expensive, but she is very, very good. And if you lean more into the ETB thing, I think she's great. Wasn't really feeling Sigarda's Vanguard that much in this deck. She seems like a win more card in this deck. The games that I feel like she'll win, you're already winning. Like if you already have multiple Akromas out and multiple flyers and they're huge, like you're already kind of winning. So that's maybe another one. But I think that was about it. Everything else in here is super tight. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's essentially the only 2 cards I wasn't really feeling in here. Some cards that I would suggest. Let me think here. If anything else is popping into the old Nogster. So let me reread your little sum up here again. A take on an Azorius deck that doesn't use alternative win cons. It wins by outvaluing opponents, copying high value creatures. Okay, Feldar's Retreat. Have you considered that? Two and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can either do one of 2 things. Create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. If you're trying to like outvalue your opponents, this card will outvalue your opponents for sure. It'll just keep making 2/2 bodies. Or it'll put a 1/1 counter on your whole board, and it'll give it the keyword vigilance until end of turn. So all your entire board's going to have the keyword vigilance until end of turn. That'll work really well with your Akroma. So that seems like a really good thing. That fits into this deck really well. Pumps up creatures, gives your creatures keywords, outvalues your opponents by being in play. That seems kind of exactly like what you're trying to do here with this. Copying high-value creatures like Consecrated Sphinx and Elish Nor and Grand Cenobite. So what you got to do is find a couple more things that'll win you the game that aren't legendary. Like Battle Angels of Tyr, I think will win you a game sometimes, and it's not legendary. Astral Dragon, I think will win you a game, and it's not legendary. You just got to find, I think, a couple more that are really good with ETBs or being copied that could win you a game. Let me grab my deck. Oh, I have a couple decks right here. Boom. Actually, I think one of them is an ETB deck, so let me... Oh, what about... What about Sun Titan? How many 3 or lower permanents do you run? 3 mana cost or lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, you run 22 cards that cost 3 or less that are permanents, so Sun Titan might be a good card in this deck. It'll be able to fish out some of your clone cards that die. It'll be able to fish out some of your mana ramp. It'll be able to fish out a lot of your really high value card draw. It'll be able to fish out Mystic Remora if it dies. It'll be able to fish out Ghostly Prison, Land Tax. It can fish out Fairy Artisans, Glasspool Mimic, Grand Abolisher. I feel like there's a ton of stuff in like high value stuff too in this deck that this could bring back. I think Sun Titan would be great. I think Sun Titan would be a very good add in here. Let me find another thing in here if I've got it to recommend for you. Restoration Angel might be something to consider to reset some of your clones, to get some of your ETBs. Oh, Angel of Ruin. You need an Angel of Ruin here. Okay, so those are my last 2 suggestions. Restoration Angel and Angel of Ruin. Restoration Angel is 3 and a white for a 3/4 flash flying, and then when it comes in, you blink something. You blink a non-angel creature. Non-angel, I don't think you're going to be blinking your Akroma too much. You'll be blinking a lot of your clones that are clones of other stuff. That one you might want to consider. Depends on how many angels you end up running. But Angel of Ruin seems great. 5 and 2 white for a 5/7 flying. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts or permanents, and you can plane cycle it for 2. Draw it too early, you just plane cycle it. And then if you play it late, you literally just blow up 2 things and you can keep blinking it. That deck cost $800. Yeah, apparently. Elishnor, I don't know what's leading to the $800. It's got to be lands. There's got to be like, and there's a lot of foiling going on. There's like a foil Mystic Remora, foil Ghostly Prison, foil Dragon Lord, foil Elishnor. But yeah, $80 how it stands. Foiled Sensei's Dividing Top. If it was all normal, probably not $800. Probably half. But very, very fucking cool deck. Let me think. Is there any suggestions you guys can think of? What's happening, Basalt? Circus? Sorry, I'm reading these comments real quick. It's down in my desk. We're actually just wrapping up this deck tech, but if you guys got any suggestions, comment them real quick. We're trying to see if we can figure out some cards to add to this deck. So he's got a Sakashima Akroma deck where he's trying to either play, his whole deck has a ton of clones in it, and he's trying to clone like Consecrated Sphinxes or Elish Norns or Battle Angels and trying to win like that. And if he can't win like that, he just plays Akroma and Sakashima and bashes face with 2 11/11s. Which is really cool, but I'm just trying to suggest some cards for the deck right now, if I can come up with any. Let me look through my Sauron deck. I mean, the only real color in here I can suggest is blue. I don't think I have anything that's too crazy, but let me look. Ghostly Pilfer is just good. I can't recommend that card enough. Yeah, I guess that's really Flawless Maneuver. Okay, let's see. Flawless. 2 and a white for an instant. If you control your commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Oh, that would be great in here. Protects your whole board for free, and it gives them another keyword for Akroma. That's very good. I like that a lot. Let's see here. Palantir there. Pumps team, protects team. I play Pokemon. I don't know nothing about Magic. Oh, you're good, Triggered Millennial. Appreciate you watching the stream, though. Just wanted to add something. Basalt, you always add something, my guy. You add more than you'll ever understand. cool. Yeah, I think that's a great ad. I think Flawless Maneuver is great. There's actually one called, I think, Akroma's Blessing? Akroma's something. Yeah, Akroma's Blessing. You should run Akroma's Blessing. That seems very good in here. It's like a mini version of Akroma's Will. 2 and a white for an instant. Choose a color. Creatures you control gain protection from that color until end of turn. So it gives your whole board another keyword ability until end of turn, which is great with Akroma. And it gives them, like, a fair amount of evasion, because you're just going to pick the color with the most creatures in play. So that seems like another good ad. I think Akroma's Blessing and Flawless Maneuver both seem really great in there. I think Sun Titan seems really good in here, and I think Linvala seems really good in here. So those are 4 cards that I would suggest to run in here. The only things I wasn't a huge fan of was the Cryptoplasm, and I can't remember what the other card was. There was one other one where I wasn't a huge fan of it, but those were about it. Everything else in here looks awesome. It seems really like it performs well. So that's awesome. Do they play the Odric that shares every creature ability? Yeah. No, they don't. I didn't even think about that. Super thank you, Horny Badger. This is why we keep you around, Horny Badger. Because I do not think about stuff that's, like, super strong in decks. I'm like, what about this really obscure thing? And you're like, what about this thing that literally wins the game? And I'm like, oh my god, yes. I didn't even think of the thing that won the game. Yeah, Odric Lunarch Marshal. Pick one of these up immediately for this deck. 3 and a white for a 3/3 at the beginning of each combat. Creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. The same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. That sounds familiar. Oh yeah, it's exactly what Akroma wants you to do. This is so good. Yeah, good call, Horny Badger, on that one. Like, actually, really good call. What's the enchantment that's kind of like Odric that I shared on my channel at one point? What is the name of that? It's a enchantment that's very similar to this, and I shared it on my channel. I have no idea if this will make it come up, but we will see. Wow, I love Scryfall. Okay. Concerted Effort is another card I would consider putting in this deck. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, all creatures you control, so everyone else's turn, this happens for you as well, gain flying until end of turn if a creature you control has flying. The same is true for Fear, First Strike, Double Strike, Landwalk, Protection, Trample, and Vigilance. Again, it's just an Odric on an enchantment that gives you a couple new ones. It gives you Landwalk, it gives you Protection, and it gives you Fear, which I don't think Odric gives you. So some more keyword abilities to get, which is really cool. Some very powerful ones to get as well. Those all seem really good. Those are like 6 or 7 recommendations to the deck that I think would be very, very good. I think leaning into the Blink and ETB sub-theme a little bit more would really benefit the deck. I'm curious to hear how the deck plays. So if you want to drop a comment on the VOD when it's uploaded, I'll hit you up, and I'd love to talk about the deck and see how it plays and possibly play against it one day, dude. That'd be really cool to get some of these viewer subscriber decks in a game of EDH at one point. Anyway, guys, I hate to hop out right when people start joining, but watch the VOD when it uploads on the channel. It helps out a ton. We're extremely close to hitting some milestones on the channel that I'm extremely excited about. We just hit the 2K milestone, and it's kind of shooting up. We're already at like 2030 after like a day after hitting 2,000, so we're already kind of going past 2,000. We're getting a good little chunk of subscribers every day, so I really appreciate the hell out of that. I've been putting the nose to the grindstone here lately. Doing a ton of daily card highlights. We're on daily card highlight number 71 today in a row, and there's no looks of it stopping anytime soon. So if you're into finding really good cards and stuff, I think you might be into that. For a good ETB deck, we might see mine sometime soon too. Oh yes, you will. You are queued up here. I have so many deck submissions that I completely forgot about. So, if it feels like your deck's kind of getting pushed back a little bit, it's not. There's just other ones that did get submitted before. There's just a fair amount of them coming in fairly quick.